They're fast, rare, and boast huge spoilers. The Ford Sierra RS Cosworth and the Ford Escort RS Cosworth. Two ordinary family cars that were transformed into lean, mean driving machines and gave purebred race cars a run for their money. The Escort Cosworth on the rally circuit and the Sierra Cosworth on the racetrack. In the 1980s and 90s, they both drove their competitors into the ground using almost identical technology. Christian Gottel is lucky enough to own both of these rare Cossis. He and his colleague Uwe Schreiner keep them in tip-top condition. Gottel says he's very attached to the Cosworths. You might say he even grew up in them. His father used them in lots of mountain rallies. And Gottel has also tinkered around a lot on the cars, so he's very passionate about them. The Sierra was the first Ford to boast the Cosworth name, and the high-performance version made its debut in 1986. Ford wanted to clean up on the racetrack, but to do that, the car maker had to develop a version that was street legal too, to fulfill the requirements of Group A racing. The series production model Cossi boasted a 204 horsepower 16-valve engine with an intercooled turbocharger. Gottel says the most striking thing about the Sierra Cosworth is its huge rear spoiler, which serves to increase downforce. At 200 kilometers an hour, the car exerts a downward thrust of 800 kilos, which he says greatly increases the vehicle's stability. When it comes to the interior, Gottel points out the Sierra Cosworth's Recaro bucket seats, its 5-speed manual gearbox, and 3-spoke steering wheel. He notes that the car has lots of dials, like the turbo indicator and the oil pressure gauge, which is vital for monitoring fluid levels. The tachometer goes up to 260 kilometers an hour, but Gottel says the Ford can exceed that, which is why it was often dubbed a Porsche killer. Gottel notes that a pop-up valve has been installed on his Sierra Cosworth and that the strut bar isn't original either, and that here all the stainless steel pipes have been handmade and re-welded. He says the car can reach 300 kilometers an hour and is great fun to fly down the Autobahn in. But first, Gottel is taking his souped-up 500 horsepower racer for a spin on some country roads. The whistling sound the car makes while changing gears is typical of the turbocharged Cosworth. He says it's the sound of the pop-off valve which releases excess turbo boost pressure when you take your foot off the gas. He says it sounds cool and protects the engine and hoses, because if this pressure were reintroduced into the system, the hoses wouldn't last as long.
Die ganzen Schläuche, weil wenn dieser Druck, der jetzt abgelassen wird, wieder in den Kreislauf zurückgeführt würde, dann haben die Schläuche nicht so lange Lebensdauer.
Christian's second Cosworth is an Escort. It's the car Ford brought out in 1993 with the aim of winning the World Rally Championships. Combining the body of the standard Escort with the chassis and engine from the bigger Sierra produced a small, yet powerful and agile car that was perfect for mountain rallies. Unlike Christian's tuned Sierra, the Escort Cosworth is an original series production version. It can go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 6.1 seconds and reach a top speed of 225 kilometers an hour. Christian says the Escort is most fun to drive on mountain roads like this, with tight curves and quick stretches, because it's so neutral, sporty, and agile on curves. This is the place to drive it. Christian says the Escort Cosworth is suitable for everyday driving, but he adds that the car's not the youngest and feels it would be a shame just to use it for getting around. But for anyone looking for a sporty and reliable modern classic that's fun to drive, the increasingly rare Cossi is a good choice.